Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Persway. I'm a top 10 player in the United States and the Europe server. And today, I haven't made a video in a while. My bad, guys. I've been really busy. But anyway, so I want to talk about the best characters in rank mode for top tiers, right? So I see a lot of discussion, a lot of conversations about who the best characters are. And I kind of want to give you guys objective information as to what us top players are using at the top of the rank mode, and kind of tell you why we use certain characters, why we don't. Everything that I'm trying to tell you is at least it'll start off objective, what we see in top tier rank, and then it'll kind of move towards subjective as to why some characters are awful, some characters are kind of good, some characters are good, but some characters are very good. So, with that being said, let's talk about some of the the top players that you see, right? In terms of character selection, we see Thief, we see Magician, we see Coordinator, we see Mechanic, and we're going to start seeing the Mind's Eye as well. The Mind's Eye is a bit of a gamble, but we'll probably see her a little bit. Now, remember, I'm not talking about the Chinese servers. No offense, I don't care about the Chinese servers because I don't play on the Chinese servers. So, for US and the EU, that is what we see. We do not see Doctor. All right, Doctor. Unfortunately, with Doctor, although she can heal, and although she can hit somebody and then run away, or rather get hit and then run away and then come back healed, if you face any competent good hunter, they will not allow you to do that. You face DS, who's the #1 hunter in the world, you're not getting away with that with him. He's too good. It won't happen. Lawyer is not used. Lawyer, although you can technically buff the people around you while they're decoding, typically you don't actually want to do that. Early game, you want to diversify the machines. If you have 2 or 3 people on the same machine and the hunter comes by, all of you scatter. Now you're talking 20 seconds, 30 seconds, maybe more, depending, of nobody decoding out of those 3. So typically, veterans, what we do is we're scattered. If I see you on a machine, I'm going to run past you. I'm going to get to the next machine. So Lawyer's positive benefit isn't even a positive benefit because you don't really want to be next to people early game. Late game, it may have a benefit, but that's even if you survive because he has a deficit in terms of his Volton. So that's why you'll never see a Lawyer in the top tier. Okay. Let's keep going here. Thief is the best character in the game, in my opinion. He has a 15% Volton bonus, which is the second best. The only person that's better than him is Ford, which is 20%. But he has no debuff. Yes, sure, he does activate calibrations a little bit more, and you need to be careful because a hunter can come by and you can activate a calibration and you can't get away. But other than that, Thief is the most versatile character in the game. He has kiting ability. Kiting is defined as the ability to kind of take the hunter and kind of maneuver for at least 3 minutes in the match, 2-3 minutes in the match, more than that hopefully, more than 2 minutes at least. So Thief is the most versatile. He can do everything. Now some people say his flashlight needs to be buffed. Well, not necessarily. If you stun the character or the hunter with a pallet, that's when you're supposed to use flashlight, but most of the time I don't even do that. You can also use this flashlight in conjunction with the forward stun, although forward's not played in high tiers, at least in this server, and the Coordinator. Let's get the Gardener. Gardener is probably the worst character that you can play. One of the worst characters that you can play in rank mode. Now, I know some of you are going to be upset about that, but no high tier player plays Gardener. The reason why is because every time you take down a rocket cheer, you ping the hunter. As a Gardener, you have no Volton bonus. You don't want to ping the hunter. If anything, you want to stay away from the hunter. So nobody uses Gardener. More importantly, in top tier rank matches, you need to decode as fast as possible. If I am kiting the best hunter in the world, alright, it's going to be very difficult. And sometimes he's going to get me down. Sometimes I'm going to last 3 minutes and he won't be able to get me down. It depends. We have good games. We have bad games, right? I need you to be decoding as fast as possible. It is so frustrating when I'm kiting, but you're too busy taking down rocket cheers. You need to decode. You need to decipher as fast as you possibly can. That is the priority in every map. And when you're spending time taking down these rocket cheers, that could have been one cipher machine down. And in the top tier, that one cipher machine needs to go down ASAP. Magician is used. You need to be careful with Magician. Alright. Magician, typically you have that 30% bonus. I think it's 30%. I'm going off of the top of my head here. His movement speed is increased by 30% when invisible. Okay, so for several seconds, it's about 2 seconds. You have to be careful because he still has footprints when he's invisible, right? So when you're invisible, you still have footprints. Also, if you're too close to your illumination and a charging joker, also known as the clown, swings, he can hit you both. You need to be careful because then you're terror shocked. Typically, a lot of magicians will use it to try to buy them some time or help them get to the window, get that initial boost so they can get to the window or the pallet and then get their 3-second boost. I made a video on personas. You can check that out on YouTube. Magician is used as of now. He's a good character. Explorer, not really used. Explorer, although there's benefits, you can vault without any pinging, right? Every time you climb a window, it pings the hunter. That doesn't happen with Explorer. The problem is that it's still easy to find you because of the footprint. So even when you try to hide, I mean, the only way you can use Explorer is really somehow activating that book without the hunter seeing you, and that would need to go in advance. Advanced timing, you really need to get the timing down with him. Objectively, all I will say is we don't see him in top tiers. You can do the figuring out as to whether he's good or not, but we just don't see him at all in top tiers. Mercenary. Now, Mercenary we don't see either. Mercenary, although Mercenary has a benefit in terms of perseverance on the rocket chair, 30%, right? The problem with Mercenary is that he has a horrible debuff, and we'll get to forward in a minute. The problem with his debuff is that a lot of top tier hunters will just ignore you. Right? So why even bother going after you? The elbow pads aren't going to really help you too much trying to rescue somebody, but it'll help you escape. Although the Mercenary is an amazing kiter because he has a Volton bonus of 10% and he has other positive benefits to kite the hunter, most hunters will just ignore you because then you're decoding at negative 25%. You have a debuff. It's not good. It's not worth it because remember, in this game, every second counts. Excuse me, I burp. I don't know how to edit that out. So Mercenary is not used. That's objective. I think there's one guy in the top 25 that uses them, and I don't even ever see him anymore. So Coordinator, used on every single top tier team. Every top tier team. In terms of my survivor rank, I'm ranked 15th. Sometimes I'm ranked 10th. It depends on what we're doing. Coordinator is played in every single top tier team. Coordinator is a staple. She's very good at rescuing. If you got to remember, when you have a good team, right? You have a very good team, especially with top tier thieves and people who really know how to kite. If you get the coordinator come and rescue, that thief is most likely going to be able to get away because he's competent. He knows where he is. Although that's relative to the location, right? If you rescue me in a bad spot with no pallets or anything to work with, I might get hit again. But the biggest thing with coordinator is that she does have a debuff, but she's used in every high tier team. Every high tier team, she's absolutely necessary right now to rescue. She's an amazing character. Mechanic is used. Remember that with mechanic, if somebody is attacked, right? So let's click her for a second, right? So what we see right here is her Volton speed is awful. It's at negative 30%, okay? But what we have here, her decoding speed's increased by 35%, okay? Which is good. But it's decreased by 45% every time somebody is injured. That does not carry over to the robot or the doll, whatever you wish to call it. So if you're injured, you can just decipher technically with the robot or the doll. But that's not always permissible either because the mechanic has a lot of flexibility. If you have a good team, right, or your team's playing well, you can really benefit from the mechanic's decode buff, which is 35% as long as no one's injured for at least the first minute and a half to 2 minutes of the game. If no one is injured, okay? She has a lot of versatility. She's not used too much in high tier, as in there's not, it's not like she's in every single team. But there are high tier players who absolutely do utilize her. However, they do rely on a good team so she can really maximize her buff, okay? Forward. Forward is probably one of the best kiters in the entire game. I mean, he throws the pallets down 50% faster, which means you're not going to get hit as often. He also has a 20% Volton bonus. But the thing is with forward is that his decode debuff is annoying. It's at 30%, meaning that your decode is 30% slower. No high tier player right now uses forward, right? I'm just telling you what I'm seeing, okay? I'm sure there's logical arguments as to use them. I don't recommend a forward on my team because your coordinator's already rescue, and that's what you have coordinator for, okay? And although he's a good kiter, his decoding is awful. And when you don't have a good decode speed, you actually compromise the rest of your team, because a lot of them are waiting for these cipher machines to go down so they can get to the gate. And with you, most of the time the hunter is going to ignore you. Forward is only useful if you can actually convince the hunter that you're worth kiting, that you're worth going after. If I'm a top tier hunter, I'm not going to go after you. I'm actually going to just ignore you. And if you just try to follow me and you're trying to waste, now you're not decoding. So this is why we don't see forward really. Now Mind's Eye is a newer character just released on the US-EU server. And we are starting to see her in the top tiers being played a little bit. And I think there's going to be a lot of experiment. And I think she's worth it. I think she's worth it if you have a competent person knowing how to use her. You need to know where to place her in the beginning of the match. You need to know the safest areas of each map. For instance, Sacred Hospital. The hospital is one of your best spots to go. You don't have to worry about her vaulting 30% debuff, because you have the stairs and you have holes that you can drop down, and it can at least buy you time if the hunter decides to go in there. She can also show the location of the hunter immediately in the beginning of the match, which shows everybody where the hunter is, which is amazing for those who decide to kite, or especially me as a thief main. It's very helpful knowing where that hunter is. But you need to have a coordinated team. Ideally, you would not want your teammates to take the easy cipher machines, and you would want to give the easy ones to the Mind's Eye, so the Mind's Eye is safe, in a safe spot. In the arms factory, you'd want to be in that building in the back, the big building. It allows a lot of security. Or you could be by the second gate, not the first gate where the ruins are. Near the small house on the opposite side of the map. Over there you got a little bit to work with, but the problem is that you got to rely on Volton, which isn't really her best suit, so you got to be careful with that. She's a hiding character. The lucky guy, he's overpowered. He needs to be nerfed. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. So with this oriented, what I've been just trying to do is explain that top tier. I just want you guys to know who is used, who is not used, and why they're not used, or why they are used. So objectively speaking, so we got rid of the subjective stuff. Objectively speaking, we see Thief in pretty much every single match. We see Magician in the majority, probably a good 80% of them. Okay, we see Coordinator used 100% of the time. We see Mechanic used. It depends. She's not on every team, but she's used. And we're starting to see Mind's Eye. We're starting to see experimentation with Mind's Eye in the top tier. Doctor, she's not that good. Lawyer, not good. Gardener, very, very not good. Really not good. Explorer, it can be debatable, but we don't see him. One of his benefits is that Volt. There's no ping into his Volt, but still he's not used. Mercenary and Forward, they're good ideally, but they're not, because you really need to be able to decode and have a lot of flexibility. Remember, when you guys spawn, there's a 1 in 4 chances, 3 in 4 chances that the hunter is not going after you just to begin with, because you're not spawned next to the hunter. Okay, now you can try to attract the hunter, but against the best hunters, they're going to ignore you, because they know that your decode is atrocious. So that's why no top tier uses them. Mechanic, like I said, we do see played. In Mind's Eye, we do see played. If you guys have any questions, I live stream all of my games, so you can see the top players play on Fluxer. It's called Fluxer Persway. By all means, definitely come over there. And it's officially partnered by the Identity 5 development team. So it's, I'm not doing anything unethical here. By all means, come and watch me play, and you can see how we play. You can ask me any questions at any point in time. Listen, I'm very happy to answer any questions. If you have any questions, feel free to respond in the YouTube comments. Remember, I'm telling you what I am seeing as a top tier player. You can disagree and try to tell me, oh, Doctor's a good player, or Lawyer's a good player. That's fine, but we don't see her in top tier because it's not good enough to beat the best hunters in the world. So you guys have a good day. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully I'll be better off with these YouTube videos coming out. And sorry, I don't know how to video edit, so you guys are getting the raw dog here. Have a good one.